Hello, hi. I'm Linda Kay Gifford. Finally got myself together enough to push the button and go live. Believe it or not, it's actually a very difficult thing for me to do. So a friend pointed out to me recently, you could just not do it. I know. So let's talk. I'm Linda Kay Gifford. I am a sexual abuse survivor. I'm a survivor life coach. I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm writing a book called Self-Talk. You can read parts of it. Sorry, I'm all over the place. My thing's falling. You can read excerpts from it at Linda Kay Gifford Self-Talk Facebook page, pinned to the top. I own feelgoodfairtrade.com, which is, this is the part where you establish authority. I'm supposed to do that, they tell me. Because I'm just getting into this live streaming thing because I really want to help people. And I'm doing a lot of good in the world with my businesses and my work. And now with my book coming out, I'm getting straight up about what it's like to be the survivor of many years of being sexually groomed. And I say groomed today specifically because, as I've pointed out before, although I do work with PTSD victims of both violent abuse and situations more like mine, and often combinations of, my personal experience was that of being groomed, turned into somebody's little mistress that nobody knew about, doing whatever he wanted and getting away with it, even in the middle of a very respectable family. My father was the principal of my high school, a teacher. He had 5 degrees, I believe, at least 4. Theology, English, history, psychology, masters, and then administration, and his original bachelor's, which would have been the theology. I don't know if he has a master's in that too. It doesn't matter. Point is, my parents were good people who loved me, took excellent care of me, except for the fact that they didn't know that my one of my brother-in-laws, which is the reason I've also come clean about saying who it is. I was trying to somewhat be protective, but I've got 2 good brother-in-laws. I don't want to be hurt. So my oldest sister's first husband was my abuser. I am taking him to court. There's no reason why I have to hide that. I'm still not naming names, but y'all know. Y'all need to protect your kids because I don't know. I mean, are we supposed to believe they just get over it? And that's what I'm going to get to today. Kind of watching Governor Cuomo say, I mean, he looks like a deer in the headlights. I liked him like everybody else through this COVID response thing. Back like when it was OJ, I remember my grandma was like, well, I just don't care what they say. I know he's not guilty. He's a nice man and I know it. And that's the way it is. And it's like, I kind of wanted to feel that way, about Governor Cuomo. Not that he's a nice man, but, he's tough and hey, he should have stepped in and taken control, everybody said, because he was doing such a fine job so we thought when everything hit New York. And so I'm not going to sit here and just condemn the man. I'm going to look at the humanity in the man and men in general and women and try to come to some kind of a way to explain to you how we are perpetuating the problem that we find ourselves abused within. So, that being said, welcome. Welcome. You may comment. I'm getting better about actually looking at that, writing them. As people start to join in, we will start bringing people on screen to talk about their experience, or just you want to tell me I'm full of shit, you're welcome to come on screen and tell me I am full of shit. That's also fine. It wouldn't be the first time. And baby, it won't be the last. I never know that. I'm sorry. It just comes. Just comes. Okay. So Charlotte Bennett sits down with CNN, gives her story, says they were friends for a year. She was young, mid-20s. Says that for a year she felt close and bonded and didn't feel threatened, but then she realizes after the point that he asked, that Governor Cuomo then started saying things that were more suggestive about, asking her about her past experiences as a sexual abuse assault victim. Then it got, and I'm not sitting here to rip Governor Cuomo. You're going to be very surprised at what I have to say, actually, when I get there. I'm just setting the stage, okay? So we've got Governor Cuomo, obviously, no innocent, obvious, but is he an all-out prey on people, try to hurt him, abuser? I honestly don't think so. I am not in any way excusing him. I'm saying he's part of the culture. He's part of this culture that we perpetuate. We as women are the ones doing it too, because we are the bottom line as to what we will accept and what we will not. And if we go out there and show this huge paradox, this respect me, but I'm going to be your whore, respect me, but I'm going to lay it all out there and try to. And again, I don't like to get judgy because you do you. It's all a societal thing. One person's nudity is another person's nude beach, which I have been to also. So, context is everything. That's what I'm getting at. So don't take anything I'm saying as a blanket statement about how someone should dress or not. Personally, if I were playing a game of volleyball on the beach, I would be perfectly comfortable in Spanx and a bra, exercise, work, volleyball top. But I'm not going to wear it to church. I'm not going to wear it walking down the street or going to the store, because I know I live in a society that has societal norms, and I'm just, I'm okay with that to a certain degree. I'm kind of a rebel. I like my jewelry. I've got my fair trade jewelry and all, and I always wear lots of bracelets. I'm rocking a lot. And by the way, this is from Starfish Project. Awesome bracelet. Starfish Project. You can buy Starfish Projects. Pieces change because my pieces are highly curated from actual women artisans you can actually meet if you actually want to. You can certainly read their stories, and there are also men, especially in families and groups, male artisans, communities, and especially we like to focus on communities. I like to focus on the products from communities like this one that are rescuing victims of human trafficking and giving women alternatives to living in poverty or having to do sex work just to survive and feed their families. So that's a big emphasis in my business. So back to Cuomo, back to this whole, basically, I stand behind the end rape culture, of course, and I'm concerned that men, if we don't try to meet them a little bit, I don't mean meet them in the middle, I mean educate them without just slaying them immediately, without just forcing everybody to be fired, resign, out, boom. We might need to dig a little deeper. And I'm not saying this is a closed case. I don't know what other allegations there are. They're going to probably do court stuff, whatever. We'll see what we see. I'm just saying, if the way Charlotte described it, it unfolded as a year-long, he felt it was a friendship. Older men often, to my experience, older men always try to recapture their youth. They always talk to us younger women. And to my experience, it's not so much trying to get me, it's trying to identify with me, like I'm the younger woman now. But at once upon a time, I was a younger woman that an older man could talk to and say, I'm going to recapture my lost youth. I just feel that way. I don't think that it's a conscious thing in everybody. And the predatory behavior, that is predatory behavior. Not knocking it all. The setup. Like she said, oh, he was my friend for a year and then he went in for the kill, basically. She didn't put it in those words. But I just felt like the deer in the headlight look I got from Governor Cuomo, like he sees exactly the same things, exactly the same facts, and interprets them differently. And I know this, I've mentioned before, my previous investor that helped me start this, the last business, Seasonal Fair, but we went under in the pandemic, so I restarted as Feel Good Fair Trade. All on my own. So nobody's cutting my checks now. It's all up to me and you, and I need to succeed because I'm supporting women in many countries, helping support, one of many people helping support women suppliers and artisans and communities and their families. So we need to hang in there and do this. And here's what the deal is. If we just, the laws are not going to go our way if we just wave our flag from the other side of the river. We have to come to these men and say, okay, we see you've had a couple 100,000 years advantage or more actually in the civilization department as far as ruling us, telling us how it's going to be, using us as commodities. And we're done with that now. So rather than rip everything away from these guys who, like my previous investor, his own wife, thought it was hilarious when he asked waitresses if he could take them home and tell them how big his penis is, essentially in not so many words, sometimes in almost so many words, you know. And it's like hardy har. They'd go out to Sunday brunch after church with their friends and their friends' wives and talk like this. That generation is what I'm saying doesn't get it. So what they're doing, some of them, the woke ones, are like, oh, I'm trying to be different. But many of them are just like, oh no, you guys are just too sensitive. You're off base. You're this, you're that, the other. But those of us who have become like me, I'm one of the low end of the totem pole people as far as getting a raw deal from society because of patriarchal bullshit. You know, I happened to get into the hands of a perv who saw an 11-year-old girl and thought, I can teach her how to suck my dick. This is awesome. And that's exactly what he did. He played with my body. He took us on drives. He parked the car. He taught me what to do to make him happy. I felt disgusted and perverted. Giving you, not trying to get all graphic and gross, I'm just saying, but I did get all graphic and gross, didn't I? Even to myself. No one should have these memories. And I'm just trying to make it stop for other people, okay? All right, back on track. Give me a sec. Have a drink. So, what happened to me is a microcosm of what happens on the macro level, like microcosm, what happens at a macro level in society, where even if you're not one of those of us that was like specifically targeted and used so routinely as at a young age and for many, many years, even if you're, especially if you're the person who's like, I'm going to try to meet every societal expectation. I'm going to be sexy. I'm going to be demure. I'm going to be a good mother. I'm going to be a good sex person. But I mean, you're so hung up, you're not thinking about your own sexuality. And we talked about that the other day, and I'm not going to go into that so much right now. But I am going to direct it into today's topic for me, which is, for God's sake, stop helping men treat you like shit. Stop helping men treat me like shit. I mean, they don't anymore because I'm a strong, powerful woman. I'm woke. I make my own money. I write my own dance card now. And I have a wonderful partner that I really have open-minded, good experiences and conversations. It's not all about sex. I mean, that's in there, and that's very important too. But none of that takes away from what was taken from me. My successes now, my business, I've got my rescue, Sweet Survivor. We're just getting off the ground. We're not rescuing anybody right now. We need money. Please, please, please go to Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund on GoFundMe and on on a Facebook fundraiser page by the same name, Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund, and donate. So that we can get the money to help rescue people in immediate crisis. So all of these things, basically, I'm trying to do my part here. I need you to do your part too. And you men and you women, we all have to change. Men, you need to listen to us. And women, you need to listen to us. If you don't have personal experience, will you please listen to me and to people like me who do, and realize that we need to be consistent in our approach to how we present ourselves in the world, you know? I've said it I brought it up yesterday. I'm going to bring it up again. The whole lady on the street, whore in the bedroom thing. It's like, why does intense, great sex need to be likened to whorishness? For that matter, why do we say, what a dick, when what we like is a good dick? And why do we say, man, you're a pussy, when what we want is pussy? These things, whether you're male, female, whatever your gender identity, you get where I'm coming from. We have set these paradoxes up, and they aren't just little ha-ha, write them down, teach it to foreign exchange students so they know how whacked we are, because that's another book I was writing. Adages for exchange students. Someone write that. I don't have time. But anyway, if you don't want to be treated like a commodity and devalued, why in the hell, I'm talking to conservative women right now, are you voting for people? You think you're saving a couple babies? Like, if you focus on this abortion part of it, and then the vast sweeping consequences of your vote is lack of equality, lack of rights in the workplace, lack of just across the board. I could go into that list, but that's a whole show. That's a whole stream in and of itself. I'm going to put that down. We're going to do that. We are. But right now, let's just focus on essential workers. Women, essential worker women, in how we're disproportionately affected. I'm not an essential worker, but how they, women especially of color, in this pandemic, and we're going into politics now. How can anybody fight against a $15 an hour minimum wage? Democrats have gone against it. And hey, guess what? Let's steal a GOP term. We need to primary them and get Democrats who can't stand behind a living wage out. I couldn't live on $15 an hour. There's no way I could live on $15 an hour, much less 7 something. And then the tip wage, that's ridiculous. Studies show that when the tip wage was removed, what state does it? Is it California or Connecticut? I've got too many states in my head and I don't have my notes right in front of me. But the states that have removed the tip wage and made that illegal and everybody has to get paid at least a minimum wage, they haven't suffered at all in the incomes of those wage earners. But what they have done is remove the inherent abuse. If you rely on that job, if you are earning a minimum wage, you probably don't have the education or location or, for whatever reason, ability to earn more than that. So you're at the mercy of these people. I mean, there are reasons why a woman in Mexico can, in certain places, will whore herself out for a quarter. It's not about being a slut. It's about feeding your family. Right now, we've got Americans in positions where they have to have welfare. They have to have aid just to feed their families. And then you fight a minimum wage that would allow people to, for over half of the people with children in the poverty, half of children in poverty would be raised out. Half of them with a $15 minimum wage. And that's still not enough to do more than pay the rent on a crappy place if you live in frickin' Missouri or Illinois. It's go to California. And then we've got senators in there. I'm getting on the pissy politics part right now. Senators in there saying $1,400 stimulus is going to stop people from getting a job. Who amongst you does $1,400 make such a dent in your debt right now that is going to stop you from trying to get a job? That's utter bullshit. $1,400 is a fucking joke. Pardon my language. Give me $10,000 right now, and I can pull out of debt. And that's just free money. Give it to me, boom. That's where I'm at. And I know a lot of other people are there too. So, no. The moment my stimulus comes, it's gone. It's gone, gone, gone. And the problem with that is I've got a chain going down from me of people, because I am in retail, because I buy from women overseas, most of them in countries that have worse pandemic response than we do, because we're buying from artisans in impoverished areas, so it just multiplies. And I'm going to take this all back to the top. I'm tangenting all over the place, but it's all part of the same thing. When women are marginalized in society, it snowballs. It snowballs. And it is completely tied to abuse, because if you're in a workplace, you'll do whatever that boss says you have to do. If that is the only job you can get, and if they're going to pay you shit, it doesn't matter. They can get away with it if our government allows them to. So go command your senators. Do something. This is ridiculous. Republican conservatives, 60% of you say you're for this. The other 40%, okay, well, 2% of you own everything, 1%, 1 to 2, and we're not worried about you. But all of the rest of y'all, what's wrong with you? Why are you letting them hurt you? But this is my political live stream. Let's get back to sexual abuse surviving specifically. Here is what I want your takeaway to be. Tell the men in your life. Try to look at them. Try to look at the Governor Cuomo's of the world and say, okay. And I'm not telling Charlotte not to push for whatever she needs to do. I'm not saying don't take him to court, get your due, teach him a lesson, make an example out of him if that's going to help. Whatever. What I'm saying is that I'm making an effort, like I did with my last investor, who somewhat listened, but it was hard for him because he was in his 80s. It's like to basically go back to what we learned, or some of us learned. When you say this, then I feel this. That's good in every situation. That's good when sexual situations, when you're feeling awkward, when you're being triggered by something somebody's specifically doing that you don't want them to do. I've been in that situation. That's to get specific. There are certain things that I used to hate, but I wouldn't tell someone not to do it. Now I've learned that those things were always, and I didn't make this connection for freaking over 40 years, that those things are connected to my earliest experiences. Like for me, I love sex. Let's have sex, but I don't like foreplay. If you act romantic and lovey-dovey, I'm like turned off. My defenses go up, my walls go up. If you start getting touchy-feely, like most people do when they want to become intimate with someone, to me, I'm like, hoo. I'm the kind, like, I would rather the person, it's got to not just be anybody, no stranger, I'm not promiscuous, but I'd rather my man, like, throw me down and go. Now, I've learned that this is not the best. I have learned new things recently, but for my entire adult life, that is how I functioned. And I talked to so many women and some men, and that is how we function when we allow our own triggers to go unnoticed, even by ourselves. So the first thing you need to do is figure out what your trigger is. At the point that you're feeling awkward, stop and figure out why. If you're with a partner that you can't explain that to, find a new partner. It sounds awkward and weird, and it is. We all have our cross to bear. I'm not saying anybody's got it harder. I'm not saying my experience is worse than so many other people. I'm saying everyone has their cross to bear. But there are things to learn, and I said I would help you learn them. So that's your tip for the day. At the point when you are in a physical situation with someone, be it sexual or otherwise, or intimate, in an office situation, talking with someone you considered to be a friend for a year, who's twice your age, 3 times maybe, and now is acting like maybe he wants to, like, fuck you. These are the times when you need to speak up, not shrink back. Let him know You don't have to be violent, and you don't have to slap them, although I do enjoy that method. And I have, like, if you pinch my ass in a bar, you will be backhanded. Usually you will be on the floor. I've done it 3 times in my life, and it was very satisfying. So just saying, if someone pinches your ass in the bar, the best way to handle it, in my opinion, is like this, right? Depending on what side, just go immediately, whap! You got that? Let's try it again. Whap! Okay? Because everybody should be smarter than that. But if they're saying, gosh, I wish I had a girlfriend, and I like girls almost, as young as you are acceptable to me, and boy, he's thinking, boy, we've been talking for a year, and I feel so young and lively with her, and respect her, and she's thinking, he's a predator, you piece of shit, how dare you be my friend for a year, and come on to me now. That may not be how it went down, but I imagine that because I have been in those situations, and I'm saying, ladies, I'm going to wrap up with this. Ladies, would you make an effort to educate the men in your lives? Maybe we don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Maybe we do. But you might try throwing out the bathwater first. You might try a new kind of soap. Make them smell better. My analogy's getting weird, but they usually do. All right, so the pledge. So many things to talk about. Oh, no, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to wrap up. So imagine, because I wrote this down. Okay, I wrote down some of the things that I'm still back. I'm still with Charlotte Bennett and Governor Cuomo. I'm not quite done with it yet. Hang on a minute. So she said she believes now that he spent a year looking for vulnerabilities. She talked about the fact that she has previous trauma, having been an assault victim already, and she feels that he preyed upon her for that, and he may have. I'm not saying he didn't. I'm not taking sides. I'm just looking for sides. I'm just encouraging you to look for sides. Because if we just keep firing and kicking people out and they're going to rebel, even if they deserve it. We got to we have to make sure that we don't turn half of the human race against us right from the start. We've got to make them understand where we're coming from too. And if they don't, then slap them, hurt them, sue them, all of it. Yeah, don't bend. But use your words. That's what I'm saying. Use your words first. If that doesn't work, there are always other things one can use. It's airsoft, come on. But I'm a pretty good shot. So imagine that you're just in this same society dealing with the same triggers as adult women have the hardest time navigating. And imagine then that you're like someone like me and you're 11 or 12 years old, and someone at the same time is playing with your vagina and putting their fingers in you and making you suck their dick and stuff. I mean, imagine then the confusion. You're only this old, but you see it all around you. You see the expectations all around you. And you also see the flip side, the guilt. You see oh, good girls don't do that. So you're like, well, why am I doing it then? By the time you realize you're doing it, you're like, well, if good girls don't do it and I am doing it, then I'm not a good girl. Now I'm a bad person. I'm a horrible person. God hates me. Why does God let this happen to me? God fucking hates me. And here's the spirit part that I will end up wrapping up on. So I spent a lot of years trying to believe and trying to expound upon the thoughts and that there's no God. I tried to call myself an atheist. And my hatred of the God force, as I refer to it now, finally led me to realize I don't not believe in a God force. I believed that the God force hated me and singled me out for torture and pain, and I didn't know why. I still don't believe there's a why. I don't believe in fate, and I don't think there's a reason for anything. I think we all exist by the miracle of stardust. Here you are. For me, the fact that I'm here is enough to be like, oh my God, I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to do everything I can to make the world a better place. I'm going to have all the love and fun with my children I can. I'm going to have every orgasm possible. I'm going to jump off cliffs. I'm going to climb mountains. I'm going to build mountains if I can. Whatever. It's my life. It's my life. So it doesn't matter religion and all this stuff. All that matters on the spirit level is that we're good to each other. And that includes treating women and girls as equals. How can you men ever experience, talking to the men and those who identify as, how can you fully live the life you want to live if you have somebody under your thumb? You know, unless it's the clitoris that's under your thumb, which it should be. You might try 2 fingers, just you do you. The point is, it's not a man's world anymore. This is not. You think it's a man's world, but you know, like us women organize and go on strike, you fought. So it's not really a man's world. It's much more a women's world. So women, would you get that through your heads and help out here and not perpetuate the badness? Be part of the solution, not part of the problem, okay? Will you do that for me? So the 3 things we're going to remember, we're going to go through them faster this time though. The shame is not yours. Every day, say this to yourself. The shame is not mine. Whoever abused you, it's their shame. Okay? Second thing is, at the point that you start feeling awkward in conversation or sexual experience or a masturbatory experience or a TV show or whatever makes you feel awkward that has anything to do with sex, at that point, stop, think. Try to compartmentalize, because we learned how to compartmentalize to take ourselves out of these horrible situations. I learned how to make myself go away, you know, and just like be a little girl and just forget, you know, just put it aside, set it aside. Now, us PTSD survivors can take our compartmentalization abilities and actually use them for good, not evil, against ourselves. Instead, now go, hey, I'm going to compartmentalize this sensation, this awkward feeling, and I'm going to say, this is separate from the experience. I'm feeling this good thing, and I'm feeling this awkward thing. Take the awkward part and put it on the shelf and get on with the good, okay? You can do that. It's going to get easier and easier. It is. It did for me. I never thought I'd get there. But I'm there. So please support Sweet Survivor Rescue Fund at either GoFundMe pages or Facebook pages. Please support my store, feelgoodfairtrade.com, where you will find incredible, highly curated fair trade products, not coffee and chocolate, what you get anywhere else. These are macrame bags, purses made out of fire hoses and rubber tires, things. It's a lot cooler than it sounds. I'm adding in textiles. Sorry, textile people, I'm very busy right now this week. We're going to get to it this week, next week. Anyway, lots going on there. I will talk with you. It's Friday, so I'll talk with you Monday on Sweet Survivor, and then on Sunday, though, we will be doing our Those Nasty Women live stream, so where we get more active. So bring your megaphone, join me. Bye. And 4 o'clock every Monday through Friday. We changed to 4 because the president often speaks, or there are press conferences at 3. 4 seems to be pretty clear time. Go have an orgasm. I just have to say it every time.